So, Shannon, think about this.
Yeah.
Is this the best offense ever?
I mean, you look at it on paper, you look at what they have. They got guys that's won multiple scoring titles in KD and James Harden. James Harden, averaged 36 one year, 35, been in the 30s several times. One of the few guys that says, I got a 50-point triple-double on my resume. Had the second longest streak of consecutive 30-point games next to Wilt Chamberlain, Skip. So we know what James Harden is. Kevin Durant, I mean, nothing that really needs to be said. You can provide commentary without even commenting. He is what he is. Kyrie can be spectacular. I watched that. You mentioned that game against San Antonio where he goes bonkers and there's nothing they can do. They're running double teams at him. They're doing everything they possibly can to get the ball in his hand. He gives it up to LeBron, comes and gets it back again and just swishes everything. So we know how dynamic he can be. Skip, remember that Game 5 when he and LeBron both goes for 41 against Golden State. Mm-hmm. So as far as handles and explosive mid-range, got the three, can pull up from mid-range, can get to the rim with either hand, English off the glass, is exemplary. All three of those guys can shoot the ball from the free throw line. So yes, Skip, when you look at it, when you just says, okay, each individual player on his own merit is spectacular. Now we have to blend that together. Skip, and the analogy I would use, bacon. Love me some bacon. Don't eat it often, but I love bacon. Gravy. I love me some gravy, too. Ice cream. Oreo, or the American Dream, I think it's a Ben & Jerry's, a Stephen Colbert on the front. Love that. Don't eat it anymore, Skip. Eat
Hope not.
with those three things, separate, yummy, yummy. Combine them. How's it really going to taste? So when you combine all these guys together, what is it really going to look like, Skip? I think everybody wants to know because we know apart what these things can be. Together, are they something close to that? If they are, there's no question. But, Skip, it's still hard. When you look at the Showtime Lakers, Skip, you look at offensively and the amount of points they were putting up. That's how they got the name Showtime, because they were dropping 120 on a night, it seemed like on a nightly basis. So I'm going to need to see these together. On paper, individually, yes, Skip, I don't know. You probably have to go back to the late 60s Lakers when they had Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and Jerry West. But in modern so we go modern time, Skip, yeah, this is the best collection of offensive talent that I've seen assembled on one team.
Agreed. This has never, ever happened before because you have all-time scorers at three spots.
Yeah.
And I'm underscoring the word scorers because that's what they are.
Yeah.
They can flat out score the basketball.
No question.
Because I was all over the Showtime Lakers. I covered much of it. I was at most of those championship games. They were a blast to watch, but I never considered Magic a great scorer.
No, he wasn't. That's not what he was.
I never really considered James Worthy a great scorer.
No.
But could he run the break like anybody this side of Karl Malone?
Yeah.
Yes, he could.
Right.
Could he go off occasion? Sure, he could. Could
Game
Kareem,
7 triple-double said that he could.
Could Kareem get you 40 on occasion? Sure, he could, because he was 7 feet 2. We call him 2.
Yeah.
And he had the unstoppable move called the sky hook. But by nature, he wasn't a killer as far as give me the damn ball and get out of my way.
Especially,
he wasn't
Skip,
like that.
once Magic came along with the Lakers. Now, early in his career in Milwaukee, he was a different beast.
Well, even at UCLA. God. Unbelievable. Back in those days of Lou Alcindor, he was just flat out unstoppable.
Yes.
Okay. So now I compare, when most people think of prolific points, you think of the team that Kevin was a part of previously at Golden State.
Yes.
Okay, so I want everybody to focus on if Kevin's a wash, if he's the one, the constant, to go from team to team, then we have to start looking at, okay, let's go James Harden versus Steph, who would be the next best scorer, obviously, in Golden State, and obviously he was back-to-back MVP.
Right.
And he did win a scoring title.
Yes.
But James obviously has won 3. And James is one of only 3 players to average 36-plus a year, I mean, in a single year, and it was Wilt and Michael Jordan.
Right.
Okay? So, look, if real quick while we're on Jordan, if you want to throw Jordan in as just in and of himself, a juggernaut of scoring.
Oh, yeah,
I got that. But we're talking about three.
Yeah, because Pippen and Bill Cartwright or whoever else you put with Jordan,
it just didn't matter.
Right.
Scotty, it just didn't matter. Okay, so here's the biggest point about James Harden versus Steph. James Harden has 98 40-plus point games in his career.
Right.
Steph has 39. So he's he's
basically double.
Yeah, he's way more. You're going on tripling him.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Steph has actually played a lot more games than James has in his career. James is at 621. This is just regular season games. And Steph is at 710.
Right.
So again, 98 40-plus for James to 39 for Steph.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is Steph the greatest shooter we ever saw?
Yes.
But there's a big difference between shooting and scoring.
Correct.
James is just a natural-born scorer of the basketball.
Right.
He's going to do it at the free throw line because, as I mentioned, the last 6 years, he's led the league in attempts and made.
Skill, when you talk about it, and there is, because Larry Bird is a better shooter than Jordan, but Bird couldn't score the basketball.
Not like that.
Right.
Okay.
So you're absolutely
so obviously, James has every trick in the book to either get to the line or get to the rim.
Right.
Left-handed, he's got right-handed, he's got everything you want, and he's going to shoot a high number of threes and shoot them pretty well. He's not a great shooter, but he's a very good shooter from three.
Yeah.
Okay?
He's streaky.
Okay? So I'm going to take James over Steph. Okay? That leaves us Kyrie versus Clay.
Right.
Well, is Clay the most explosive scorer I've ever seen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because he can go off and score, what was it, in the
60.
quarter?
Well, he scored 37 in the quarter.
37 in a quarter. It's impossible. I can't even make the math work in my mind.
Got 60 in 29 minutes. Right.
Okay? And he can go for 60. But can he do it every night? Well, obviously he doesn't.
Right.
There's some streakiness to it. And also there's some role playing in it because a lot of nights he's fine just to play defense and not score.
He's fine, Skip. When KD came, he was perfectly fine going from 2 to 3. Mm-hmm. And Steph was perfectly fine going from 1. Steph is, and I've said this, Steph is the greatest, most unselfish, greatest player I've ever seen. Because you're not going to find very many of them. Mm-hmm. With his resume, so no, I'm cool. Bruh, I'll let you drive my car. Mm-hmm. Because Golden State's his team. Yep. And he said, KD, you come here.
That's true.
You can drive. I'll sit in the front seat.
He did.
And not only did Clay, that was in the passenger seat in the front, he said, I'll go and get in the back. Bro, I'm cool. I'm still in the car.
Okay.
And we still going to the same location, which is NBA titles.
Okay, so let's look at Kyrie versus Clay. Kyrie has actually played far fewer games. He's at 535 for his career, and Klay Thompson has 615 games under his belt.
Right.
And obviously, he's still out.
Right.
But now let's just go to 30-point games for your career. Kyrie is at 100 30-plus point games. Right. Klay is at 57. So he's almost doubled him in 30-point games because he's a scorer.
Right.
He can just get on any given night. Kyrie can just go off for an easy 30, and you kind of wake up at the end of the game and say, he got 30 plus?
And I think the thing is because Klay has really never had. I don't know if Klay has ever had the ball in his hands for more than 2 or 3 dribbles. Skip, so it's Kyrie's going to have the ball, and that's not Klay's game. Klay's not a guy that's going to have the ball in his hand, dribble, trying to get to the rim. Klay is moving. He's catch and shoot. He's one dribble, pull up, shoot the ball. So he's not put in that situation. But to your point, KD, James Harden, and Kyrie, individually, we've never seen anything like this. The question is, Skip, can they blend it together? Because somebody's going to have to concede something.
Okay, I got it. But just on star power, firepower, those three together, I've never seen anything like that collection of scoring talent. Not shooting talent, just scoring talent. Okay?
Yeah.
And yet I look down the list. I got to throw out my Spurs because you got Duncan Ginobili Parker.
Right.
But, you know.
None of them were scorers.
They weren't scorers. They were just great basketball players who blended, to your point, together.
Right.
They could play together.
Right.
They could play beautiful basketball. They shared the basketball. But nobody ever said, oh, we're afraid they're going to shoot us out of the gym.
Because Tony Parker was a point guard, Skip. And guess what? They're going to dump that ball down to Duncan. And Duncan going to do what he does.
Right.
Manu was the great role player, that he was the ball of energy. He's coming off. He's going to handle the ball, going to do his thing. But Skip, these guys here know, you can go to all the big threes. And I go back a long ways, and they've been, the Sixers, when they had George McGinnis, and they had World Be Free, and they had Dr. J.
Yep.
They didn't have this. They had Moses Malone and Andrew Toney and Doc. No. Nobody's had this.
And obviously the Bird team you mentioned, but it's McHale and Parrish.
Yeah.
Okay?
They're
really great as a trio.
Right.
They can win a whole lot of games.
They're not scorers.
They're not scorers. The closest thing to it to me outside of the Golden State team would be Paul Pierce and Ray and KG.
Right.
Because that's got some firepower to it. Those guys can all score, but Ray wasn't a natural-born scorer. Right. He was more of a Steph-like.
He was more like Clay.
Yeah.
He's running all over. Ray was content with Reggie. All those guys, Skip. If you look at the great three-point shooters, look at Kyle Korver. What's he do? Continuous motion. Reggie Miller, continuous motion. Ray Allen, continuous motion. Steph.
Yep.
Steph was the only one that was a point guard, so he had the ball in his hand somewhat. But Steph give it up, and good luck trying to keep up with him and find him.
Okay. Could Paul Pierce score like James can?
No.
Hell
no.
No, he was the truth.
Yeah, he was the truth, but Skip, there's only been a handful of guys. I mean, you got to go back. I'm talking about like at the guard position. At the guard position, you got to go back to Kobe and Jordan. They the only guys that can score like that.
Yep.
That ability to go get 60 and to go get 50 and all these 30-point games and make it look so effortless.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of. There's only been a handful of guys in the history of the game that could do that.
Okay, and now it brings us to KG, another 7-footer, longer than Kevin is. Maybe I don't know. It's pretty close between those two, but he was a dominating 7-footer. But could he shoot and score like Kevin?
No.
Well, obviously.
Even when he was at Minnesota, Skip, I never looked at him. I looked at him as a great basketball player, but I didn't look at him as a scorer. When you look at big men, Skip, I look at big men. When I think of score, I'm thinking Wilt. Wilt didn't shoot the ball, but Wilt could score the basketball. So that's what I look at. When you look at a big man, is he going out there? I never looked at